This is Matador News, and these are today's headlines. French police search for 2 suspects in Friday's terrorist attack. House Majority Leader Paul Ryan calls for a pause in Syrian refugee program. And troubled TV star Charlie Sheen tells the world he has HIV. Hello, I'm Dazhanae Howard.
And I'm Nicholas Seaman. The suspected 8th gunman involved in the Paris attacks, Salah Abdeslam, is the subject of an international manhunt. Abdeslam rented a car associated with the attacks. Investigators say the vehicle was used to transfer the terrorists from Belgium to France before the attacks. Investigators say they believe Abdeslam has crossed the border into Belgium. French Interior Minister Bernard Cazeneuve says France has mobilized 115,000 security personnel in an effort to prevent more attacks. Meanwhile, Cazeneuve says more airstrikes have hit ISIS strongholds in northern Syria. Reports from the Syrians on the ground say there have been no civilian casualties and the hospital remains intact. But museums, clinics, and other urban buildings have been destroyed, leaving the full extent of the damage unknown. The French Army General Staff is reporting they've hit command and training centers.
Now let's go over to Matador News reporter Lisa Choe in the newsroom for more.
People around the world were stunned as they heard news from Perez. CSUN students say they've been affected by the attacks.
Well, my reaction right off the bat, I guess, was I was shocked to see that so many people were like hurt by this. But at the same time, I mean, there was no motive, or at least I didn't know the motive right off the bat, so I didn't understand why it was done or how it was done.
It is a bit unsettling that it happened in Paris, but I don't think that ISIS is ready for a U.S. attack yet.
I feel like we could be a victim, and I'm quite scared because they might attack us, and it's kind of crazy and scary at the same time.
I don't feel safe, and I do think something could happen here because basically, like I heard on the news that there were, had people in California to bomb places and stuff like that.
Well, it's a frightening and terrifying thing. I mean, you have to understand, stuff like this can happen anywhere.
I think it was extremely terrible, and my heart goes out to them. My prayers go out to them as well. But there's also tragedies happening around the world that should be addressed as well.
But here in Southern California, the focus is on Perez. A vigil was held on Sunday for Cal State Long Beach design student Noemi Gonzalez, killed in a popular restaurant while studying abroad. Lionsgate canceled all red carpet interviews at last night's premiere of Mockingjay 2. And French Consul General Christophe Lumont will be joining Mayor Garcetti today for a vigil at Los Angeles City Hall. City Hall is lit up with the blue, white, and red of the French flag. Now back to Nicholas in the studio.
Russia is also stepping up its attacks on Syria. Russian security chief recently released a statement saying evidence proves ISIS planted the bomb killing 224 people on a Russian airliner over Egypt last month. Nearly all the dead were Russian tourists. President Vladimir Putin says the bombs and missiles will not stop until the terrorists are found.
The murder of our people in Sinai is one of the bloodiest in terms of the number of victims of such crimes. We won't easily wipe away the tears in our hearts and souls. It will stay with us forever. But that will not prevent us from finding and punishing the perpetrators.
Islamic State said they murdered the people on board the plane because of the attacks on Syria. The chief's report says the bomb that shattered the plane mid-air is the only explanation for the widespread debris and fuselage pieces. The bomb was the equivalent to 1 kilogram of TNT. Putin met with President Barack Obama and UK Prime Minister David Cameron at the G20 summit yesterday to discuss the Syrian conflict.
French President François Hollande tells the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization that France will uphold their values.
In this conference to remind us of these values, its values and principles, and this will, which was that following the barbarity of the Second World War, to make culture, science and education prevail over totalitarianism.
Hollande has asked for a UN Security Council meeting to discuss the worldwide threat posed by ISIS.
Governors of 27 U.S. states say they will not welcome any Syrian refugees. This is in response to the French authorities discovering that one of the Paris attackers may have been a refugee. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan says the U.S. needs to take a pause in its refugee program.
Our nation has always been welcoming, but we cannot let terrorists take advantage of our compassion. This is a moment where it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
The Obama administration says 10,000 refugees will enter the country by next year. 22 GOP governors are asking for the review of the program and closer scrutiny of incoming Syrians in order to better protect citizens. Meanwhile, the United States continues to bomb Syria along with France and Russia in an effort to take down ISIS. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees says the number of Syrians, currently in the tens of thousands, fleeing all the bombs is expected to rise. The United States has already accepted 15,000 displaced Syrians, and the decision to accept more will ultimately fall to the federal government.
The California Faculty Association is rallying in Long Beach during the CSU Board of Trustees public meeting today. The CFA is still fighting for a salary increase for the 26,000 professors, lecturers, and staff working in the CSU. The union voted in October to hold a 10-day strike in January 2016 if no agreements are reached. The state university trustees are expected to approve a proposal of $216 million in additional funding. That's more than double what state lawmakers approved for the system. The extra money will allow the systems to grow enrollment by 12,000 students.
Ireland has joined the list of nations where same-sex couples are getting married. Cormac Gallagly and Richard Dowling are the first same-sex couple to get married in Clonmel, Ireland. The Irish people legalized same-sex marriage with a national referendum in May. Ireland was the first country in the world to recognize the practice with a popular vote. More than 20 countries now allow same-sex marriage, including the United States.
A Minneapolis highway is cleared after Black Lives Matter protesters shut down a Minneapolis highway for 3 hours following the police shooting of Jamar Clark. The group of about 300 were confronted by police and some drivers who forced their way through the crowd in their vehicles. Lieutenant of the Minnesota State Police Department said officers were able to clear the highway without force, but 51 people were arrested. The protesting has been going on since Sunday after Clark was killed when police were attempting to arrest him. Protesters are demanding that police release all video of the shooting and the names of the officers involved.
Let's go over to Carla Gutierrez with health news.
Thanks, Nick. Charlie Sheen tells the Today Show host Matt Lauer he has HIV. The announcement came amid rumors of health problems, including AIDS, which he says he does not have. Sheen originally thought he had a brain tumor due to crushing headaches. Sheen says he has paid millions of dollars to keep his health problem private. He says he contracted the virus 4 years ago from an unknown source. Sheen has a history of drug abuse and a long list of sexual partners, including porn stars. He says there is no possible way he has infected others. Sheen says he has plans on raising awareness and helping others with the virus. Now, let's head over to Matador Newsroom with Matador reporter Glory Mendez with more on the story.
Thank you, Carla. Not only did Sheen confess that he was HIV positive, but he admitted that he has even paid people he thought he trusted to keep the secret. He says it has cost him over $10 million to keep people quiet. We asked CSUN students what they thought about Sheen coming out and admitting that he has the virus, mainly because he wanted to end the extortion.
To be honest, I'm not surprised that he's HIV positive because due to his recent events, maybe past years, he's been doing drugs, all this garbage. I'm not surprised now that he's HIV positive, and that the fact that he paid $10 million to people to keep their mouths shut is not like a real true fan, to be honest. Like a real true fan wouldn't pay them $2 million, whatever, how much money to keep their mouths shut, because that's not right.
I didn't know, but I mean, it's kind of messed up that he was blackmailed for it, I guess. So I had no idea though.
It kind of sucks, just that he was forced to, tell in the first place if he wanted to keep it secret. But I don't know, it's ultimately his decision. It sucks that other people are making money off that. That's pretty unfair.
Matt Lauer asked Sheen if he would continue to pay the people he had been paying, and he said, not after today. So back to Carla in the studio with more health news.
A Mississippi man has received the most extensive face transplant ever. The volunteer firefighter was badly burned in a 2001 blaze after a roof collapsed on him. In August, he received a full scalp and face, including nose, ears, lips, and eyelids. This type of transplant has only happened once before, and the patient did not survive. The donor was a 26-year-old competitive bicyclist who died in a biking accident. The 26-hour surgery was performed by a medical team of 150 people. The patient is still undergoing physical therapy from the surgery and plans to return home by Thanksgiving. He is expected to regain normal vision, but will continue taking anti-rejection medication for the rest of his life. Now, let's head over to Veronica Perez with more business news.
Thank you, Carla. The San Diego craft brewery Ballast Point is being bought by alcoholic beverage conglomerate Constellation Brands for $1 billion. Constellation will give Ballast Point wider access to distribution and stronger buying power for ingredients and equipment. Beverage industry analysts say craft beer growth is impressive by many measures. Craft's market share for beer in the U.S. grew to 11% in 2014 from about 5% in 2010. DraftKings and FanDuel's attempt to block the New York State Attorney General's effort to shut them down has been rejected by a judge. The case began last week with the Attorney General warning the sites to stop what he says is illegal gambling in New York. FanDuel and DraftKings say they offer games of skill, which is not against New York's gambling laws. The sites say they have hundreds of thousands of players in the state. Both sites are confident they are abiding by the law and will continue operating in New York. Now let's check in with Carla for more on sports news.
Thanks, Veronica. The Denver Broncos announced the second-string quarterback, Broz Osweiler, will take Peyton Manning's place on Sunday's game against the Chicago Bears. Manning managed to set an NFL record for career passes against the Kansas City Chiefs despite being on the injured list for 2 weeks. But the star quarterback finished only 5 of 20 passes for 35 yards and 4 interceptions before being removed from the game.
Whether it's because of my injuries or whether it's because of poor decision making, I kind of tend to lean on the poor decision making and some bad throws and some underthrows.
Manning will undergo intensive injury rehab to heal a partially torn plantar fasciitis in his left foot. Broncos head coach says Manning does not want to sit this game out and wants to do everything he can for his team. Osweiler finished out last weekend's game against the Chiefs with a total of 146 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. This will be Osweiler's first career start in the NFL. The Houston Texans managed to beat the previously undefeated Cincinnati Bengals with a final score of 10-6. The Bengals were looking to make NFL history by joining the New England Patriots and the Carolina Panthers with a record of 9-0. This is the first time ever for 3 teams to have perfect records at the same time. But those dreams were cut short by replacement quarterback TJ Yates in a 22-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Hopkins, who managed to make a one-handed catch in the end zone for the game's only touchdown. After the Texans' victory, defensive player J.J. Watts took a shot at Bengals quarterback Andy Dalton, making fun of his nickname Red Rifle and comparing it to a kid's gun, the Red Ryder BB gun. This is one of Dalton's career lows and first time since December that he was unable to complete a touchdown pass. The Bengals have made the playoffs since drafting Dalton in 2011, but have lost to back-to-back against the Texans in 2013 and 14. Let's go back to Veronica with entertainment.
CEO Mark Zuckerberg says Facebook policy was to activate the safety check feature only for natural disasters, but now it will be activated for human disasters as well. Facebook responded after some users were outraged at how the social media platform handled the Perez attacks. Users around the world ask why Facebook decided to use the safety check feature for Perez, but not in other attacks that have happened earlier. Facebook officials say Perez was chosen because they saw a lot of activity in regards to the attack. Users were also outraged at how Facebook gave them the option to update their profile picture with a French flag filter. This to be used as a sign of solidarity with France. People feel Facebook should give other international tragedies the same attention. Justin Bieber is heading for his 6th #1 album on the Billboard 200. The Biebs released his new album, Purpose, on Friday. Purpose has already surpassed One Direction's Made in the AM. Bieber's new album is expected to debut at #1 on next week's Billboard 200 Albums Chart industry. Forecasters say Purpose could open at the top of the charts with over 525,000 albums sold by the end of this week. Those albums would consist of just singles. 450,000 are expected to be pure physical album sales. Justin Bieber's Purpose could be his largest sales week yet. Now let's check back in with Nick for your latest weather news.
Winter weather is taking a toll on West Coast roadways. The first major storm of winter has shut down Interstate 70 for about 150 miles from Kansas to Denver. Winter storm Ajax has also caused 2 trucks to collide, leaving about 150 cars stranded in Colorado and canceling over 200 flights. Denver and 7 other Colorado counties are under blizzard warnings until 2 o'clock this afternoon. Wintry weather conditions have caused major crashes, traffic delays, and winter storm warnings throughout Texas, Nevada, Oregon, and Utah. Icy road conditions have been reported in Arizona and Texas, and wintry winds caused over 17,000 Californians to be without power on Monday.
Here in Los Angeles, it's going to be 73 degrees today. The high winds continue to blow at an average of 23 miles per hour. Last night's winds were so strong that trees were blown down. It's going to be an average of 80 degrees for the rest of the week with low winds blowing 9 miles per hour. No signs of rain this week, so this will be a good time to get your car washed.
One new message for all texters. Oxford English Dictionary has chosen emoji as its word of the year. The pictograph called Face with Tears of Joy has been chosen because it was a word that best reflected the mood and preoccupations of 2015. The image was the most used emoji globally this year.
Thank you for watching Matador News. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at MatadNewsCast. I'm Dazhanae Howard.
I'm Carla Gutierrez.
I'm Veronica Perez.
And I'm Nicholas Seaman. Till tomorrow, Los Angeles.